Alrighty, guys, so I'm on to episode 3 of Batman the Animated Series, Volume 1. This episode's called Nothing to Fear. Now, I know nothing about this episode. I'm just assuming that this is going to be a Scarecrow episode because of his fear toxin and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm going to jump into her and let you know what I think of her. So, I was right, and it was about Scarecrow, but anyone who knows Batman seen that one coming, really. I thoroughly enjoyed the story to this one. It was basically explaining how Scarecrow he was obsessed with fear and was studying it and started inducing fear onto people because he was so obsessed with it. He became a professor because he's so smart, and he became so obsessed with fear that they fired him. And then so the whole rest of the story is basically him trying to get revenge on the university, but Batman keeps foiling his plans. But this being said, Batman at the beginning, he starts questioning, like, it doesn't really show or say it shows people saying stuff about him, but he doesn't really say it. But like, they say his parents would be ashamed of him, and it really sinks in. And then for the rest of the episode, every time he gets hit with the fear toxin by Scarecrow, it's like he's seeing his dad saying he's a failure. And at one point, Alfred's like, "You're not a failure. Your dad would know that if you were around, or if he was around." And basically, everyone thinks he's a failure compared to his dad because he has this playboy persona he puts on as Bruce Wayne, and when he's Batman, he's actually doing the world justice. But anyway, I'm gonna get into some stuff I liked about it. The Scarecrow finally showed up. I loved him. I love him in the movies. I love him in just about everything I see him in. I love the idea of him. But he when he shows up, he uses toxin on a guard, and he's like, "Oh, spiders!" And you see like little red spiders crawling all over him. That'd be so creepy if I was a little kid watching that. But he lights the bank on fire, and then gets Batman with the fear toxin. He sees his dad in the fire, and what's his dad say? "Bruce, you have failed me," and something else. So the rest of the episode, Bruce thinks he's failed his dad because of this fear toxin. Now, after that, Bullock shows up, still hates Batman. A little bit of stuff goes on, then Batman disappears like Batman does. Um, we already discussed that Scarecrow is a professor. After this part in the episode, after the bank stuff goes down, he sees his dad. He goes back to his house, and he's still kind of going in and out of the fear toxin, and he has a little bit of facial hair, and his eyes are baggy. He looks rugged as hell. I love it. Um, he's still like seeing his dad saying, "You failed me, son." Uh, Everyone thinks Batman is a giant bat at a certain part, and they all just start beating on him. I wish it had showed the giant bat and them beating on it, but I mean, I got the idea because Scarecrow released all the toxin into this room full of people. But there's there's right after that, the blimp leaves the Scarecrow and his crew. Um, so the blimp leaves, Batman jumps and hangs onto this hose and climbs all the way up. Man, he is not scared of heights in this series. My God, he's always up in the sky. But he gets in a fight sequence on the blimp, and he's on the top, and one of the henchmen are shooting, and like winds up shooting a bunch of holes in the blimp and making the blimp hit a bunch of buildings and evidently crash into a building. But there's the guy shooting gets falls when it hits a building. He falls off and he lands on like this netting of a building. So it's like, okay, he's good. Then this other guy gets hit with the toxin and thinks the walls are closing in on him. So he runs and jumps out the window of the blimp, and he just so happens to land in a tree. It's cartoon, so it's funny. But I can only imagine if this was a movie, like these people wouldn't have made it, and it could be so brutal. But it's a cartoon, so. But yeah, there's this part where Batman starts. He sees his dad again, saying he's a failure, and he's like, "This might be my favorite Batman quote I've ever heard." He's like, "I'm not a failure. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." And then he goes and whoops Scarecrow's ass, but Scarecrow gets away, and Batman chooses to let Scarecrow get away to save the Doctor, and then the blimp blows up, he saves the doctor, but then his back computer thing finds a match on, and then he does a little detective work and figures out where Scarecrow is, Crane. And basically Crane gets home to his house, and then he's like going on like, I just wanted revenge, and then he looks over and sees his tanks are leaking gas, and he's like, what the hell? And he shuts them off, and then you can see him starting to get like, it's starting to hit him, and then the lights go out, and then you just start seeing images of bats popping up, and it's like, it's kind of creepy but in a cartoon way. But anyways, Batman shows up, winds up taking him in and giving him to Commissioner Gordon and Bullock, because Bullock was trash talking him and saying maybe the Batman and Scarecrow are in cahoots or whatever, and of course he's not, because it's Batman, but he delivers him to him as like kind of a fu to him. But I noticed when Batman was doing the detective work trying to figure out who could be behind this, Star Labs popped up, and I believe that that's the lab from the Flash show, like from Flash's area anyway, Star City or whatever it's called. But yeah, and the soundtrack, Danny Elfman, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I can't believe I never realized that he did the soundtrack to this when I was younger, because I am such a fan of his. But yeah, I'm going to be doing The Last Laugh next, episode number 4, must be a Joker one. Keep on the lookout for when that's posted, and let me know what you thought of episode number 3, Nothing to Fear. And what do you think of the anime show? Let me know in the comments below, and have a good day, guys.